Talking about Sujoy, sir, first of all, he's a gold medalist in MBA who believes in giving back to society through his knowledge and experience. He is currently the director and CEO of Techno India University and Techno India Group. Being a member, even I graduated from Techno India Salt Lake. So being a student of Techno India, it gives me immense pleasure to have you on our platform, sir. We are really privileged to have this opportunity to listen to you and to get your good words on this particular forum. Now, talking about Kapil Kumar, sir. He is former professor at IGNOU, Center for Freedom Struggle and Diaspora Studies, IGNOU New Delhi, and is known face in TV debates. I mean, who doesn't know you, sir? He delivered 2 public lectures on tourism to India and history, heritage, and marketing, organized by Anton D. Com University. He also designed the course on history and theory of Suriname universities at master's level and delivered 8 lectures at the Suriname University. Today, we, the Voice of India, are privileged to have an opportunity to listen to both of you. On behalf of all gathered here, I welcome you both, sir, to India's largest parliamentary debate platform, Voice for India. Over to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Kapil sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Happy Independence Day. It's the 74th day of independence. Not in the best of the times, you know, that the pandemic is ruling the world and still we are there. Trust me, the pandemic is going to be over. No pandemic anywhere in any time has succeeded for all times to come, so it will be over. I'll ask you, I will request you to start every day with the Serenity Prayer that I keep on uttering all the time in the world. I say, God grant me the serenity to accept things that I cannot change, courage to know the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference, to know the things of what I can and what I cannot. So, sir, with that I start the introduction of yours first. I'll give a brief introduction of Professor Kapil Kumar. Professor Kapil Kumar is former director at IGNOU, or Indira Gandhi National Open University Center for Freedom, Struggle and Diaspora Studies, and is known face in television debates all across the country. Professor Kapil Kumar delivered 2 public lectures on tourism to India and history, heritage and marketing, organized by Anton D. Com University on August 2011. He has also designed the course on history and theory of Suriname University at master's level and delivered 8 lectures at Suriname University. Professor Kapil Kumar was awarded major research project by the University Grants Commission India on the theme Use and Misuse of History in Tourism for a duration of 3 years starting January 2008. Professor Kapil Kumar was appointed as the President of Federation of Central University Teachers Association. Professor Kumar has been associated and expert with various committees of the UGC. These are very new facts. If we want to tell about Professor Kapil Kumar, whole of our time will be exhausted on that. So not wasting that, I will come directly to the question, sir. Sir, the first question and the debate for the nation debates now on youth in politics. So want your comments whether the youth should be or should not be in politics. What's your comment, sir? What's your address to the youth of the nations?
You see, youth has to be in politics. But a politics which is democratic, which is healthy, which takes the nation forward, which shows concern about the nation, and which makes good citizens. Not the politics of the Tukde gang who shout Barbadi, Barbadi, who don't have trust in the constitution of the country, who are governed by foreign powers of jihadis and Chinese. That is not politics. That is anarchy. That is in fact a kind of academic terrorism which has been imposed on the youth in this country by brainwashing the youth in this country. So what is needed today is a politics to understand our democratic institutions, our democratic rights, our fundamental rights, work for them, strengthen the Indian democratic institutions, strengthen Indian democratic political parties, keep the criminals out of political parties, keep the criminals out of politics, keep the scamsters out of politics and running the country. And that is where the youth has to clean up the politics and take an active part in the politics of this country.
Sir, I have a major concern. You know that I serve as the director and CEO of Techno India University and Techno India Group, and we have more than 1 lakh students right at this point of time in our institutions across the country. I do believe the voice of India also believe, which I represent right at this point of time, that the youths are energetic, they are enthusiastic, they are morally sound and diligent. But at the same time, I find that they have most of the youth. I speak with them, I mix with them, I talk with them. I find that they are not interested in politics. So my question, the voice of India wants to know why Indian youths are not interested at all interested in politics at the right time.
No, Mr. Biswas, my experience is totally different now. And particularly, I tell you, during this last 4 months of this corona, what you may call imprisonment or corona confinement during this period, my experience has been totally different. You see, I have been making a lot of tweets on the social media in relation to politics, in relation to history, in relation to so many things. And the kind of response I find from the Indian youth, they say we want to know the real history. We want to know the suppressed historical realities. We want to know why Indian history was distorted. We want to know why those who actually contributed for India's freedom struggle, their names were taken out from the books. And I find the youth actually on social media commenting on how every event related to Indian political scenario, whether it is in relation to Indo-American relations, Indian diaspora, or whether it is in relation to Indo-China relations, or India-Pakistan, or jihadis, or what has happened in Bengaluru yesterday, or what happened in Delhi earlier. I find that the Indian youth has become now very, very aware. Now, this is a kind of impression which we have of earlier times, that when the system was oriented that you only think of your careers, you only think of your taking a job in multinational, you only go to a foreign university and to study over there, and nothing else is necessary. But now, today, your youth has realized one thing. You know that even to go to States and obtain a B1 visa over there is related to politics between the two countries.
Sir, I have one observation over here. I do accept what you are saying. People are, at least in this time of pandemics, people have been very, very active on the social media, and they have expressed political opinions. What I want to know from you, sir, from a erudite person who has knowledge of the students for last so many decades, but I deal with them on a daily basis, and my experience, though they are active on the social media, they have political opinions, but at the same time, they want to contribute in their own fine way, not through political organizations, not through political platforms. They are somehow skeptical, they are somehow apprehensive that this, if they go for the platforms, they will be maybe from the opposition part somewhere or the other, they will be implicated, and that I find they are not at all, and they are not, and they have also seen that opportunities have not been with them for a very long time. So your take on that, sir, before we move to the other topic.
Mr. Biswas, I would like to say one thing. Today, we are an independent nation. Unless we come out of the colonial hangover of pre-47, that if we do something, we will be victimized. I want to tell this youth one thing only, and I want to remind them here. When Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose made the Azad Hind Fauj and gave the appeal to Indian diaspora in Southeast Asian countries, there were youngsters in the age group of 17, 18 who came to him, who joined the Azad Hind Fauj, and when some of their parents said, "Okay, don't join and don't go," they said, "No, how long we are going to remain slaves?" And mind it, the more.
Sir, it has got muted, sir. Please take care. Your mic has got muted, sir.
Just a minute. I hope it's okay now.
It's okay now, sir.
Okay. Now these youngsters in Southeast Asian countries, they had never even seen or visited India. They were the children of those coolies and indentured labor who had gone there in 17th and 18th, or in 18th and 19th centuries, who had never seen India, who had only heard stories of India, from India, about India, from their Aji and their Aja. and Netaji evoked nationalism in that, and they fought for India. They fought for India. So that feeling, unless you have it from your mind, and if you are only bothered that you see, the biggest fault among India is I want someone else to do the job for me. I'll give you another example for the youth. Many years back, I was lecturing to NCC girl cadets, and I spoke that day on nationalism, corruption, communalism, 3 issues. And one of the girl students got up after my lecture and said, "Sir, you delivered a very good lecture, but you haven't given us the solution." And I said, this is the problem. We want someone else to come and solve our issues. I said, you have the best solutions. She said, how come I have the solution? I am a weak young girl only. I said, one, never consider that you are a girl, that you are weak. And secondly, I tell you how you can do. If you and your mother decide today in the house that you will not let your father bring bribe money in the house, no man will dare to go his home with corrupt money in the house. If you and your wife, your mother today decide, we won't vote for a corrupt politician, and you organize the women in your colony, it will become a movement in your colony. So you have to take the initiative. So if you depend on this fear that someone will come and do it for me, someone will do it for me, no. When you go for the interview for a job, you give the interview yourself. So why can't you take the initiative yourself in this country to improve this country, to make this country corruption free, to throw away the scamsters in this country, to throw away the criminal politicians in this country? Unless you take the initiative, the youth, it's not going to be. Then you will keep waiting, oh, someone will come and someone will do our wrongs and all. It will never happen.
So my last question on this, sir. Voice of India wants to know whether students should be in politics or not, taking into all the apprehension, all the fears and all the worries into place. Your answer is yes or no, whether the youth of India, Voice of India wants to know whether the youth of India should be in politics or not.
Yes, they should be in politics, but not in creating anarchy with the anti-national forces.
So
that is my
we have come to know from Professor Kapil Sharma that Indian
Kumar,
Professor Kapil Kumar, that youth of India should be in politics, but they should not create the anarchy. Students have a huge power. Trust me, you people have a
Let me give you one example. Let me give you one example here. It's a very crucial example. You see, our democracy, our democratic rights, our constitution, our fundamental rights, they are safe in this country because our Jawan sits at Siachen. Our Jawan sits at the China borders and at Gujarat, in Kutch, and saves our constitution, our country and democracy. And those who shout these slogans, Barbadi, Barbadi, and they study Tukde honge, and they think they are saving democracy in this country. If I am in their place, let them shout these slogans tomorrow in that university. I will surround that university asking you to bring 1 lakh youth from the country and tell these 40 anarchists that you are not India, we are the youth of India.
Thank you, sir, for your honest answer, from the heart. We really appreciate, and I think people of India is hearing Voice of India, and it will go to all parts of the world, and all Indians will listen to that. My second topic of the debate today, India wants to know whether the ban on Chinese apps may turn out to be positive or negative. Professor Kapil Kumar, we want to know, the Voice of India wants to know whether the ban on Chinese apps, which was imposed by the central government, will turn out to be positive or negative. Was it a move in the right direction or not? Professor Kapil Kumar.
I take it as a very strong move towards the right direction, and I tell you why. Our youth excelled in IT revolution, and our youth is now coming forward to lead the knowledge revolution. So why do we have to depend on Chinese apps? This provides an opportunity to our young youth scientists working in Indian IITs, Indian engineering colleges, to develop their own apps and make India stand on its own feet. It's a challenge. And if we had continued with that Chinese apps, we would not have taken the challenge the way our youth and our scientists and IT professionals are taking up this challenge. And this challenge will take India further in a big way. So it is a right step. And I am not saying only Chinese apps. Tell me one thing. Why should we buy from China our electricity lights for Diwali? Why should we buy from China our idols for our worship which we make? Why? Why should we get these things from there, which our own industry, which our own artisans, which our own people are producing? We have to come out, and this is a message for me, for Indian youth. Please come out from the trading mentality and enter into a mentality of manufacturers.
Sir,
Give this trading mentality for centuries which has been there, and develop a mentality for manufacturer, entrepreneur and producer, and you will see the difference in this country.
Sir, I have one observation and my question will be based on that observation only. Softwares like TikTok, UC Browser, Hello has about 611 million downloads in India, while the download in the country of China, which has more population than us, is 196 million. So, and you are saying that why we will go for that? Sir, your explanation on my observation.
You see, one thing is that in this country since 1947, no attempt was made to make us come out from the colonial hangover. So anything which is foreign is better. You even recognize your academicians only when some foreign university gives them a fellowship. Your scientists only when someone foreign gives them a fellowship. What is Chinese material? The world knows. You see, China produces three kinds of things. One for their own domestic market, one for the South Asian market, one for the European market. And it has a lot of difference between the three. I've been 3 times to China. I've experienced China and I've studied China in a big way, and I've taught Chinese history for the last 44 years. The question is, it is marketing. What they are marketing. And let me tell you one very interesting thing why this is happening. You see, Russia wanted to bring communist revolution world over through revolutions and political mobilization. And Russia and Soviet Union fell down. Now China learned a lesson from that, and it realized that unless you emerge as an economic power, you will not be able to control the world. So China first emerged as an economic power, and now can you believe a Chinese Communist Party which claims to communism and Maoism and all that has become the biggest money lender of the world, and is behaving like a village money lender, that you lend money to that country and then you blackmail their country politically, doing into whatever you want to do. So these are interlinked things, you see, and that is why I am saying to do away with this yoke. Because let me tell you one thing, and I warn my youth on this. If we had, ages like Stone Age or Iron Age or Bronze Age or age of colonialism and imperialism, 21st century, I wrote this in a book much earlier, will be known as an age of government. You don't have to control directly anyone, either economy or through military and all that. All you control is the mind of the younger generation. So my younger generation will say, I want to buy Nike shoes. I want to eat McDowell. I will not go and eat in an Indian restaurant. So you control the mind. You enslave the mind. You don't have to enslave anything else.
But sir, I have an observation and a question over here. But we did not ban the apps because we felt that the youth should come up, India should grow. We only banned the apps when a line of LOC or the line of control was disturbed. So do you find that we have hard? It's your answer, yes or no, that we have hard? I
totally agree with you on this, that it is a political decision taken, though this kind of decisions should be taken much earlier, keeping in view the entire think tank aspect of the country and the larger interests of the country, not only for the present 1 month or 15 days, but the long term of the interests of the country, what is going to be there in the next 20 years and next 30 years. So a policy is required in relation to that. When we talk of China, we can't take on China just because something has happened.
Sir, it has got muted. Again, it has got muted, sir. So please take care.
Sir, excuse me, one thing, sir. I think from my technical team, are you people muting everyone once in a time? I think. Do not do this in this entire session. Do not do this, please. Sir, yeah, sir. Please carry on.
Yeah, you got me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Carry on, sir.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that such crucial decisions have to be strategic decisions. They cannot be just tactical decisions, that a tactical decision is taken at one moment to stop something. No, you have to develop strategies for these kind of decisions in international relations, in international economy, in international business, or geopolitical defense matters of the country.
Sir, but when the ban has been there, a question in a yes or no form, I'd like to know whether it will hurt the Chinese in the right fashion, whether banning of their software, their application softwares, which are 600 million downloads in the country, has hurt them in the right place or not, and whether it will embolden other countries to adapt the same policy for hurting them, embolden the other countries.
You see, Mr. Biswas, China is one country. What one feels in China, they don't spell it out. And the best example, you see. What they will say, we have taken one step backward to move 2 steps forward in future. You know the common Leninist tactics in that regard. One step backward, 2 steps forward. That kind of a thing. They have been badly hurt, and let me tell you, the decline of China has started. The decline of China has started. I had said this 10 years back in one of my lectures, that the way China is trying to dominate the world politically, economically, culturally also, I said China is digging its own grave. And I tell you what is going to happen now. Even the smallest countries, which China endangers their borders either in South China Sea or through the land borders, even those countries are speaking out now. And a future is not far when these companies will form a sort of consortium and they will act together against China, and this China's blackmailing and threatening thing will be no more there. And let me tell you what more is happening in China inside. In Chinese history, there is a concept of Tian. Tian means the heavenly, permission to the ruler to rule. And Chinese history shows us that when floods came, when disorders came, this thing happened, the people will realize that this Tian has been taken back by the God and it's time to revolt. What is happening in China today? Today only the news has come. How they have diverted their flooded rivers to the poor, to the countryside. The Chinese labor in the world are the most exploited, underpaid labor in the world. So what is now happening in China? Even Jinping and the Communist Party will be in trouble in China. You see what is happening in Hong Kong. The impact of Hong Kong is there in China. Chinese are no more fools now. The common population there is knowing now what's happening and speaking out. Otherwise, you won't have heard that how Wuhan spread COVID. It came out from the Chinese doctors and Chinese scientists only. So things are changing in China.
So thank you for your observation, sir. Now, taking cue from your address on the Chinese floods, let me debate. The Voice of India wants to know that if India starts acting on yearly floods in Bihar and Assam, would there be true nationalism? That I would like to know, because Bihar and Assam, there are tremendous floods in the midst of the pandemic, and the Voice of India wants to know that the yearly floods in Bihar and Assam would be true nationalism or not.
Could be, I could tell you.
The yearly floods which are happening in Bihar and Assam, if India wants to start on that, would it be true nationalism? Our Voice of India feels that the deficit of the public policy, dyslexia, and lack of political will lies at the root of the tragedy of flooding in Assam and Bihar. Your talk on that.
Yeah, let me tell you one thing. Let me come to Bihar first. You see why Bihar remained underdeveloped. And I'll include Eastern UP in that. As a student of history, let me tell you, these were the regions of 1857 which had challenged the British and thrown out the British. And the British very intentionally kept these regions underdeveloped. They didn't let them develop it out. And same is for a region like Bundelkhand, because then even after independence, it is the Sindhiyas who ruled. And they didn't let the Rani Jhansi region go up in terms of development and all. Northeast, if you pick up, there was one letter written by Sardar Patel. You can Google it out. A letter written, I think, on 15th November 1950 or 7th November 1950. I'm forgetting the exact date. In which Sardar Patel lists out that what China is going to do to India. And this is 1950. And there he says, develop the infrastructure of Northeast, develop roads in Northeast, develop all these things in Northeast. What we did? Recall in 1946 Meerut session of the Congress, where a congressman from Nagaland makes a speech and says that how the American missionaries are telling the Nagas over there to revolt against India in a fight for an independent Nagaland. And what Nehru said? India's freedom struggle will not be fought from Nagaland. We never, why did we consider them as peripheral regions? They are our Indians. Why do we treat them as something in the far things and all? And we keep saying they have to be integrated in the mainstream. Every part of India, every region of India on Indian soil is the mainstream of India. Why this thing was projected in 70 years that mainstream is only which come from Delhi and the remote areas of Assam and Tripura and Manipur are not the mainstream of India? They are the mainstream.
So, sir, you agree that there has been attention deficit. Do you agree that there has been dyslexia of the policy makers?
Definitely. Now a change is taking place. A change is taking place. I am so happy now to see so many people from Nagaland in Delhi. 3 students did their PhDs under me from Manipur. So all these things which are happening now, and people know each other. People are meeting each other. If you see, one time when I was the FEDCUTA president, I held a meeting in Nagaland. I used to go there. So I inquired from Nagaland. They told me Nagaland everything is fine. Only Assam is problem. I asked from Assam. They said Assam is okay. Nagaland a problem. I said nowhere is a problem. I went to Guwahati by air, took my car and went up to Nagaland enjoying the beautiful area. Why don't the Indians explore Northeast? What a beautiful region it is. What a lovely people they are. Don't forget that these were the people of Manipur and Nagaland who supported the Azad Hind Fauj, India's independence. Don't forget that Morang was the place where the Azad Hind Undivided India's flag was launched, where the government of Azad Hind Sarkar continued over there. Did we ever preach in this country? Because that didn't suit the politicians who were ruling the country. They are our loving regions and we have to do everything for them.
Thank you, sir. For the viewers, our last topic will be definitely on controlling the pandemic. Before that, I would like to share that I keep on sharing in my talk shows, rules of success. Today, I'll share 7 rules of success which can lead us from anywhere to the highest or the zenith of the points. The first rule of success, have work with courage, have courage. I said in my first opening speech, that courage to know, let God give us the courage to know that what I can do and what I cannot. So first rule of success, work with courage. The second rule of success, be unique and be you. Set your goal, work hard and have persuasion skills to get things done. The third rule of success is practice the culture of excellence. I keep on saying excellence is not an act, it's an habit. What we do, what we are is what we repeatedly do. So have excellence, but excellence is an act. It's not an act, it's a habit. The fourth rule of success, explore the unknown path. Explore the path which is not known to you. You know, Robert Frost in his poem, The Road Not Taken, has said, 2 roads diverged in the wood and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So explore the unknown path. The fifth rule of success, remember knowledge makes all the difference. So have knowledge, try to make the knowledge. Knowledge can make the difference, and knowledge is something which you cannot, which will remain with you till the last day of your life. So acquire knowledge continuously, every hour, every day, every month, every year. The sixth rule of success, think out of the box. If you think out of the box, just explore and think out of the box and you will have. And the seventh and the last rule of success for today is learn how to manage failure. I keep on defining success as bouncing back from failure. It's easy to manage. If it's easy to manage, not manage success, it's far, far difficult to manage failure. But all the people in the world have become successful by managing failures. So it's managing failures. And we'll talk to Professor Kapil Kumar on managing failures and managing success with the last topic of today's debate, that whether India's lockdown has been chaotic or successful, whether it was taken the right time, whether it had been implemented, yes or no. The voice of India wants to know. A lockdown of 134 crore population is not giving direct results. At this point of time, we had more than 25 lakh people who have been affected, and whether it was rightly done, whether it was rightly implemented. Professor Kapil, Kumar, I'd like to know.
Three things. To the success things which you have added, I will also add, have conviction, be concerned, and care.
Sure, sir.
Unless you have the conviction, unless you are concerned about others also, and unless you care for what you are doing affects the others also, the success has to take into account that. Otherwise, you will lead into the selfish motives of the market economy, which I don't want my youth to come out with it. Today, I'm telling you one thing. I felt so happy when our Prime Minister declared NCC in the border areas for everyone, and declared about first aid measures and disasters measures and military thing. Because since the month of May end, when this China thing happened, I was tweeting regularly to the PMO, tagging them, saying that not only border areas but coastal areas also should be treated as borders, and there these trainings should be given to our youth to do that, you know, because we need that. And as a scout, and I have been an NCC cadet, and as a scout, and I know what are its implications for the youth. Now, coming to the COVID thing, I tell you, the way COVID was done, lockout was done, I totally agree with that. And I personally feel that this lockout should have continued for another 2 months strictly, with one consideration only, that the poor should have been provided food and medical aid where they were. But politics moved in. Those who wanted to get rid of laborers from their states found COVID an opportunity to throw them out and spread COVID all over the area. The way Maulana of the Jamaat was responsible for spreading the COVID, so were the governments of Delhi and Maharashtra. When rumors came up suddenly that combined at Anand Vihar bus stand, buses are being there for you whole night, the rumors went. Why were they not stopped? And when from Maharashtra, people were thrown out much before the trains. So the countrywide thing spread over there. I still say, ban the entire thing for 2 months, you will win over Corona. Otherwise, you will have to live with Corona now, like dengue or like viral fever or anything, we have to live with it. But I must admire my youth one thing. I did a lecture to Delhi University students on the role of youth in COVID, and I said, every one of you become a COVID warrior. How? One student asked me, how? Sir, I am sitting at home. I am not from the medical community or the Safai community. How can I become? I said, you can become a cyber COVID warrior. How? Pick up your phone and WhatsApp, and the false messages you get and the rumors who are spreading, immediately report those numbers. Actions against those numbers. Because even now, these anarchists were using COVID also to create anarchy in this country. So be a warrior, and be a warrior in moving out to your people, you know, to tell them how to maintain distance and all. Because the problem with our mentality is that if we tell someone to wear a mask, he thinks I am abusing you. I've had this at the bus stand. Someone came out from the Honda City car. I asked him, where is your mask? I was taking petrol. He says, it's in the car. I said, are you saving your car from having corona by putting the mask in the car? So that attitude and all, the youth can play a very major role in that.
I have
one more thing. People who criticize the government, you see, no government in the world has been able to fight corona 100% or 90% or 80%, you see. But I'll tell you, which government world over arranged trains to brought labor home? Tell me a single government in the world.
Sir,
which government made so many arrangements at that moment?
Sir, from
So,
Voice of India,
we have to fight it together. It is not by blame game, the government and me and you and all will bring it out. We have to be cautious and fight it out together, and every youth has to play a role in that.
Sir, from Voice of India, I have 3 distinct questions from here on the lockdown. That whether hospitals were duly prepared and protecting the healthcare workers were taken into place. Second, safety net for those who lost incomes. Yeah, the lockdown, after lockdown, many people lost their jobs, but companies were requested or asked to pay salaries also, although the companies could not work, and also whether the government could ensure the supply chains that work.
Hello, sir. I think you are muted. Excuse me, sir. Sujoy, sir, unmute yourself, please. Before
Because
that,
I was muted, sir. I have 3 distinct questions on that.
You
Sir,
see,
my
let me tell
first
you.
question.
Tell me.
Sir, am I
Yeah.
audible? I think I'm audible.
Yeah, you are.
Sir, whether the government took adequate measures for preparing hospitals and protecting healthcare workers. The second question, safety nets for those who lost income, because there are many of people who lost income, and companies were asked to pay salaries though they didn't have any income of their own, and whether the government could ensure the supply chains which should have worked in their places. My last question on this, on the last topic of the debate for today.
You see, my question, I have a counter question to make. If some disaster comes, okay, and a disaster comes undeclared, are you prepared with that disaster to meet that immediately, right at that second only? At that second, you warn the people of disaster, and then you start taking precautions to meet that disaster. And that way, I think when it comes to medical facilities and hospitals and all, I think a very, very interesting, people laughed at it, but that thali thing and all which was there, or which was that burning, that light, a very psychological aspect the Prime Minister had taken up to prepare the people psychologically, that this is what is going to come, you have to be prepared for this kind of a fight. He never said that this fight will be over by putting the thali or by diya or in one day by the hospitals. But you have to.
Sir. I beg to differ. He said that the Mahabharata was fought for 18 days and we will get it over by 21 days. Please don't.
Yes. I agree. He said that. I'm not denying that. But tell me one thing. If a war is on, you will start demoralize the person saying that if we can't win in 21 days, we won't extend the war for 30 days. But it depends on the, listen, it depends on the warriors also. How much the warriors cooperate in that war? How much the warriors were cooperating? Was there criticism coming of these Maulana Sahib's people? Were those people who were attacking the Corona doctors? Any criticism came of that by those political people?
No, sir. It's not for one community, sir. People at large, as you said, did not wear masks, did not wash hands, did not.
Sir, I am saying that. That is why I didn't accuse one community. I gave 3 factors for that. I didn't give 1 factor for that. I gave 3 factors because, but when it comes that even those who said that Corona can be fought only by sitting in temple and doing puja is wrong. I don't defend that at all. You have to fight it out with scientific measures. You have to fight out with your own things. It has to be a combination. You see, I'll give you an example. It has to be a combination of scientific methods and spirituality. The way Lal Bahadur Shastri fought the agriculture crisis in this country. He went for agriculture revolution, asking scientists to develop certain things for agriculture, and at the same time, he asked the people to fast for a day on Monday evenings. So this is the beauty of India, that you fight scientifically and you fight spiritually when something comes on you. You fight it out. And I tell you, you are talking of the economic aspect. Again, is it the government to be blamed? I made this criticism. You look at my tweets. In Noida and all, where these estate builders are there, the only thing they had to provide to the labor was just allow them to stay there and provide them food. And they make big money out of it, but this private sector threw them out. What would the government do there? You tell me that. I have seen in place like Muzaffarnagar, where the businessmen combined held a meeting and saying, when we start business again, we will reduce the wages by 20%. And if someone refuses to work at that wage for one businessman, the other businessman should not take him. That is where I am saying, come out of that trading mentality. Think of whole, think of care and concerns for career. That's why I said into that. And let me say that the time when you are in war, you have to fight that war with whatever ammunition you have with you. You can't stop fighting and say, I'll wait for till the ammunition comes and then I will fight the war. You have to fight the war with whatever you have with it and then simultaneously ask for supplies. And I think what the government had with it, it started the fight well and it is taking over well. The things are coming up, the recovery rates are coming better. The death rates also in the world over India has remained much low in that. So I'm not saying that the government, not defending the government, that the government was able to do everything, but still we were able as Indians to control it quite a bit. And we will be able to control it only when we, the people, want to control it. If we want to depend on the government, we will not be able to control it.
We have come to the end of this debate on behalf of Voice for India because on 4 topics that we discussed, and I'll just going to conclude it on what Professor Kapil Kumar addressed. The first one was whether Indian youth should be in politics or not, and he said yes, and we do agree that Indians should be in politics, but a very big but is they should not do that anarchy which empowers them to do. They should not. So this is the first one. The second one was whether the floods in Bihar and Assam, continued failure of the governments in independence as a permanent natural disaster. He said, and I do agree, it's a failure for the governments who have worked, but I differ on one thing, that this government is not also countering it properly. The third one, banning of Chinese application softwares. It's a good move to hide failures. No, it's not that. I agree to him that it was the right move and it will benefit India in all times to come. And the third and the last point was lockdown, planned move or unplanned. Professor Kapil Kumar opines that is a planned move. I do not agree on that. I 50% I agree on that, 50% I don't agree. The migrant laborers, allowing different states, it should be a harmonious decision between the state and the central government, and just indicating one community is not enough. People of India, by and large, are responsible. There are 3 things we keep on telling, we keep on knowing that first, wear the 3-layered mask, wash hands properly, and then have physical distancing or social distancing. We are not doing. The whole people of India is responsible for this. So we should. But at the end of the day, I keep on talking to doctors and even epidemiologists, and they said that the vaccine is going to come out. Even if the vaccine doesn't come out, takes time. No virus can retain its stringent actions for all times to come. It will wane away with the passage of time. And so I conclude with the quotation from a poem very close to my heart that I'm speaking right these days, and ask the people of India, and like the youth of India, from the Voice of India, not to become upset of whatever is happening. This will also be over. If there is problem, a life is there. As long as there is life, there is problem. Once Harbans Rai Bachchan, father of Amitabh Bachchan, told his son, when he was struggling in Calcutta, that Amitabh ji said to his father that Pitaji Jivan mein mujh kuch bahut sangharsh hai, and he said, as long as there is life, there is a problem. Jitna din jivan hai, utna din sangharsh hai. And I'll conclude with the lines of a poem called Don't Quit, and it says, and I quote, when things go wrong, when the road you have trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing down amid, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Rest if you must, but don't you quit. Rest if you must, but don't you quit. Thank you, Professor Kapil Kumar, for your lovely words, for your words full of love and passion. And I'll keep in touch with you for the rest of my life. That I can assure you. It was lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Most pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you very much. Beta, you will be uploading these on the websites or YouTube or something or not?
Yeah, sir. Like now, sir, we are live in this Facebook one. Apart from that, sir, it will go live everywhere, sir, from YouTube to everywhere.
So can you send me the corrections on my email?
Yeah, sure, sir. We will share.
Please do send the link.
Yeah, sir. I will be sharing it, sir, and I
hope it was to your satisfaction. I hope it was to your satisfaction.
Yes, sir. It was very great session, sir. Full of
Yeah,
energy.
I would have loved some question answers from the youth.
Yeah, sir. I will take it, sir. Before moving to the questions, I would like to say, sir, from Voice for India team, we would like to give the assurity that in upcoming period, the youth will go in the right direction in the politics. We are there for them. This is the platform. They can come and ask the question, even to any government, anywhere, anything. So we are all together, and we will make sure, sir, that whatever your point of view is there, we'll make sure that youth are going in that direction. Okay, sir.
So anything from my side, I'll always be there to be with you
sir.
people.
So
Anytime.
Oh yeah, Sujoy, sir.
I'll be there too. I hope you liked the
Sir,
way we conversed and.
Oh, lovely.
Sir, that's great, sir. Sir,
It
full
was
of
an
energy, sir.
amazing session. Yeah.
Sir, like you, from morning we were having the session, so energy was quite low. But as soon as you both joined, now it is like full of every comment, everything, Facebook, from Insta.
I will suggest Voice of India one more thing.
Yes, sir.
You see, please go to these 4 museums in the Red Fort.
Yes, sir.
1857, Azadi ke Diwane, Jallianwala Bagh, and INA Netaji.
Okay, sir.
And please, and there are some of them on YouTube also. India had done a film, Anuj Dhar had a film on YouTube also, they are lying. The Netaji one is on the YouTube. Please have a look at them, because they give a totally different version to the youth and a totally different version to a message to the youth doing that.
Surely, sir.
Because I did them as a chief historian. I curated these 4 museums.
Yeah, surely, sir. Surely we will go through that, sir. Thank you for the advice. And sir, we can take few questions. Sujay, sir, can we take 1 or 2 questions from the audience? Like you have asked so many questions from sir. Let's see what audience.
Sure, Ankit, go ahead.
Okay, guys. Those who want to ask the question, please raise your hand. And the people who are there in Facebook, Insta, please, if you want to ask the question, comment in comment session. You can mention your question. So I think Ajad Tiwari is there. Can anyone unmute Ajad?
Yeah. Ajad Tiwari has a question.
Yeah.
Good evening. Can I?
No. Mithun, you can wait for the time being. I think Ajad, we can allow Ajad. Ajad, please go on.
Jai Hind, sir. I'm audible to you, sir.
Yeah. Audible, Ajad ji. Please go on.
सर फर्स्टली मैं 1 मिनट आपसे कहना चाहता हूं, मैं आपको ट्विटर पे फॉलो करता हूं और आपकी ही वजह से मैं ट्विटर चालू किया हूं, और आपके आजाद हिंद फौज के जितने भी चीज आप आर्टिकल जो भी होता है, मैं आपको टोटल इंफॉर्मेशन हर एक यूथ तक पहुंचाने की पूरी कोशिश करता हूं।
मैं पहचान गया आजाद, आप खुद भी बहुत अच्छे ट्वीट करते हैं राष्ट्रीय आंदोलन को, वीरों को लेकर के।
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये
है, बहुत अच्छे
सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे ये है कि जिन्होंने देश के लिए कुर्बानी दी, जिन्होंने देश के लिए बलि की बेदी पर अपने जीवन को उत्सर्ग कर दिया, आज देश में उनका कोई महत्व ही नहीं है। जिस आजाद हिंद फौज ने 60,000 में 26,000 लोगों ने कुर्बानियां दी और उसके बाद सन 47 के बाद उनको रखा नहीं गया है, और आजादी के आधे से ज्यादा इतिहास के पन्नों को दफना दिया गया है। चंद्रशेखर आजाद जी का डेथ हो गया, शास्त्री जी का हो गया, बहुत से ऐसे केसेस हैं सर। और हमको कक्षा 8, 9, 10 की हिस्ट्री में टोटल यही पढ़ाया जाता है कि मुगल महान थे, और मुझे लगता है कि हिंदुस्तान ही एक ऐसी कंट्री है जिसमें अकबर और महाराणा प्रताप दोनों को महान पढ़ाया जाता है। तो सर हम अपने रियल हिस्ट्री को, जो हमारी वास्तविकता का इतिहास है, हम उसको यूथ तक कैसे पहुंचा सकते हैं, और हम सर उसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं? मैं अधिकतर आपकी टोटल वीडियो सुना, मैं आपको फॉलो और मैं कोशिश करता हूं कि आपकी बातें सब तक पहुंचाऊं सर। तो मैं आपसे यही पूछना चाहता हूं कि हम कैसे ये चीज को कर सकते हैं। और सर एक क्वेश्चन और है, ये
आजाद, इसका उत्तर 2 लाइन में नहीं दिया जा सकता। मेरा एक वीडियो है, फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन द पद्मावती इशू।
आई लिसन 14 मिनट।
मैंने देखा है सर, मैंने
उसको देखिएगा, और उसके अंदर मैंने बड़े विस्तार के साथ ये एक्सप्लेन किया है कि भारतीय इंडियन हिस्ट्री को डिस्टॉर्ट क्यों किया गया, व्हाई इट वाज डिस्टॉर्टेड, और इवन टुडे व्हाई वी आर नॉट रिमेंबरिंग आवर फ्रीडम फाइटर्स। और मैं पहली चीज जो ये मांगता हूं कि सबसे ज्यादा सत्यानाश जो इसमें किया है, वो इस गाने ने सत्यानाश किया है, दे दी तुम्हें आजादी बिना तीर बिना ढाल। ये गाना हमारे सारे रेवोल्यूशनरीज को, हमारे सारे मार्टियर्स को ह्यूमिलिएट करता है, जिन्होंने अपनी जानों की कुर्बानी दी अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ लड़ते हुए। मुझे एक बात बताइए, 1857 को हमारी सरकारें अब फर्स्ट वॉर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस मानती है, क्या 1857 बिना तीर तलवार के लड़ा गया था? तो इसलिए खाली ये कह देना कि इस देश को आजादी जो है अहिंसा से मिल गई, आई विल नॉट एग्री टू।
डेफिनेटली सर।
मेरे एक और लेक्चर है, आप देखेंगे यूट्यूब के ऊपर, इम्पैक्ट ऑफ आजाद इन फौज ऑन इंडिया फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल 1945-47।
सर
ये एक डिस्टोर्टेड हिस्ट्री डाली गई है पूरी की पूरी, अलग करते हुए कि अंग्रेज जो है सिर्फ भूख हड़ताल की वजह से चले गए, इसकी वजह से चले गए। बिल्कुल गलत है। लियोनार्ड कार्टर के वॉल्यूम्स आए हैं अभी, सीज फायर इन कश्मीर, पार्टीशन ऑब्जर्व, टुवर्ड्स पार्टीशन। इन डॉक्यूमेंट्स के अंदर उन डॉक्यूमेंट्स को पढ़िए जिसमें अंग्रेज क्या कह रहे हैं, क्यों गए वो भारत से, क्या हालात उन्होंने महसूस किए, और इसको आने में अभी टाइम लगेगा। दूसरा, हमारे यहां गलती क्या हुई है कि इन द नेम ऑफ सेकुलरिज्म, दिस इज वन कंट्री वेयर सेकुलरिज्म हैज टू मीनिंग्स। Secularism means a break with religion, and here it was converted into appeasing religion. Now, if you hide the histories, कि अकबर ने 40,000 लोगों का कत्लेआम किया चित्तौड़गढ़ के अंदर, वो आप नहीं पढ़ाएंगे, और अकबर महान था ये आप पढ़ाएंगे, तो रिएक्शन होगा। मैं वो हिस्टोरियन हूं who believes कि if there is a gap between the communities, we should wedge that gap. मैं तो ये नहीं कहता कि पुल बनाओ, पुल भी टूट सकता है। मैं तो कहता हूं कि दो समुदायों के बीच में अगर खाई है तो उस खाई को पाटिए। लेकिन हमारे जो ये लेफ्टिस्ट हिस्टोरियन है, इनको खाई को गहरा करने में मजा आता है, क्योंकि तभी इनकी दुकान चल सकती है। और इनके लिए राष्ट्रवाद, नेशन हैज नो वैल्यू, because in Marxism, nationalism is a bourgeois concept. They don't believe in nation. They only believe in anarchy and revolution. So they use the democratic setup to go to their aim of establishing the dictatorship of the proletariat. You name me a single communist country in the world which has given any rights to its citizens. Any rights. China में तो even बच्चा पैदा करने का राइट तक उनसे ले लिया है। They want to establish dictatorship of the proletariat, and for that they use our democratic tools, and that is why they distorted history. They distorted history. They will shout against Savarkar for helping British in recruitment in Second World War. What were these communists doing in the Second World War? Why don't they spell that out? So long Hitler had a pact with Soviet Union of non-aggression. Hitler was not a Nazi. Hitler was not a fascist. But when if he attacked Soviet Union, he became a fascist. So this hypocritic attitude. See, India is a big country. Look at India from an Indian point of view. Don't impose Western models to teach us what is Indian federalism and what is Indian culture and what is Indian nation as such. Anyway, these are long questions. And long questions.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Kapil, sir. Sujoy, sir, you will be continuing with the next session too, na? You have the time? Yeah. So, Kapil, sir, thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope there will be more occasions.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'll
sir.
get
We will, sir. Yeah, sir. Surely.
Kapil, sir, it was excellent talking to you. I'd like to be in touch with you.
Please, you're most welcome. They have my numbers and they have my mail, so we'll be in touch. Sure.
And sir, I